Welcome to a special show that brings you thoughtful stories and insights on how Embassy REIT, a market leader in India, is creating sustainable workspaces. Environmentally conscious, socially responsible, and a governance-first business. This is a journey that Embassy Office Parks REIT embarked on several years ago. And step by step, with an unwavering commitment, the company is driving measurable change.
To be environmentally conscious, socially responsible, and governance-first business is a journey that we at Embassy REIT embarked upon years ago. We have adopted industry-leading ESG framework to help guide us towards our 2040 net zero carbon emissions goal. Our ESG strategy is built on 19 specific programs, each with committed capital and clear targets and action plans. Each day, we continue to be driven by our core purpose of creating and operating world-class, wellness-oriented business workspaces for our tenants, thereby helping create a greener and sustainable tomorrow for the communities at large.
Harnessing the power of clean energy, Embassy REIT is committed to achieve net zero carbon emissions by 2040 across its operational portfolio, 3 decades ahead of India's 2017 net zero target. In line with this, the company has launched a 75-25 renewable program aiming to achieve 75% renewable energy usage by 2025. An existing 100-megawatt solar plant, as well as one of Asia's largest solar rooftop projects to install 20-megawatt solar panels, are central to achieving this. Recognized as the world's largest USGBC LEED Platinum office portfolio, Embassy REIT has pioneered several initiatives to reduce energy and water consumption, as well as to promote waste recycling in its properties in partnership with its occupiers.
ANZ's purpose is to shape a world where people and communities thrive. And we have an incredible partner in Embassy REIT, providing us world-class infrastructure and sustainable buildings for our employees in India. In particular, their focus on renewable energy adoption is highly commendable.
Embassy REIT's ESG program has been recognized by multiple global ESG institutions, such as GRESB, through its highest 5-star rating, and the REIT's development portfolio has been ranked #1 in the Asia's office sector. Embassy REIT has also brought in the green impetus to its balance sheet by raising an impressive green loan book.
At Embassy REIT, ESG isn't just a buzzword, it's in the ethos of how we run our business. Whether we are pioneering an environmental framework for commercial office in India, creating a foundation for future generations of skilled workers, or adhering to the best-in-class corporate governance practices and disclosures that facilitated our listing as India's first REIT, we are constantly pushing ourselves to live by the ESG guidelines we espouse.
Underpinned by its philosophy, together we can do more, Embassy REIT is championing a collective action for increased social impact through partnerships with other corporates, NGOs, and the government.
At Embassy, our Corporate Connect program aligns our CSR mandates with those of our occupiers in areas of education, environment, skill development, and health. Our responsibility as a group goes beyond our business. We have been nurturing communities around our office parks for over 6 years in a very holistic and sustainable manner.
Resilient planet, revitalized communities, and responsible business, and a vision of net zero by 2040. That's the commitment and unwavering mission of Embassy REIT.
People today are far more environmentally conscious. And as a corporate, it's our duty to not only meet their expectations, but to exceed them. For us at Embassy, working towards building a sustainable environment is integral to the way we operate and what we stand for. We are very pleased with what we've achieved so far, but it's a journey that's just begun, and together with all our stakeholders, we aim to continue to grow sustainably.
It's all about people and how they feel about their workplace, where they spend upwards of 8 hours on any given workday. Can brick and mortar buildings and office campuses enhance people's health and wellness? Yes, they can. Much goes into designing workspaces which are modern, balanced, fun and sustainable. Take a look at how Embassy REIT is doing that.
The difference between a good company and a great company is always talent, it's people. We are market leaders because we focus on creating outstanding workplace environments within our business parks. This helps our world-class occupiers attract the best talent. And we have our task cut out to meet the dreams and ambitions of this young talent for a safer and healthier world and a sustainable tomorrow.
Recognized and awarded for creating sustainable workspaces, Embassy REIT today is the market leader with an unmatched Grade A office portfolio across gateway cities of India.
In all our conversations with our occupiers, what's clear is their commitment to provide wellness-oriented spaces. Creating these green and sustainable spaces is at the core of Embassy REIT's ESG vision.
From investments in launching hotels within its business parks to partnering with local authorities to build public infrastructure such as flyovers, skywalks, metro stations, Embassy REIT aims to provide an unmatched total business ecosystem offering to its global occupiers.
At Target, our team members are our most valuable assets. We greatly care for their well-being at work and outside. And we also choose our office locations to reflect this. Our team members take great pride in being a part of this environment and working here because of the strong commitment towards sustainability and well-being.
Embassy REIT is the very first commercial real estate company in India to achieve a WELL portfolio score for its exemplary focus on health and well-being. The company's commitment across its pan-India office portfolio to safety and security has been recognized by the British Safety Council with a 5-star rating and 9 Swords of Honor.
Embassy REIT meets our global standards of providing high-quality, functional office solutions for our employees. Employee well-being is key for us at Link Group. Embassy 247 building, from where we operate our India functions, is a sustainability-focused building and is powered by a rooftop solar plant.
Be it a startup or a global Fortune 500 company, Embassy REIT's mission is to keep raising the bar on sustainable and healthy workspaces for a 21st century talent that makes India a global powerhouse in technology and innovation.
The 21st century talent that makes India a global powerhouse. This is a talent that is more conscious and more demanding when it comes to preserving the environment. On the other side, we bring you face-to-face with leaders who tell us what does it take to meet this ambition and also the vision on ESG that Embassy REIT has set out for itself. India's largest listed REIT, Embassy Office Parks, has committed to achieve a net zero carbon emissions by 2040 across its operational portfolio. That's 3 decades ahead of India's 2070 net zero target. Now, the question we have on our mind is the pace of change enough to achieve that big vision? Let's dive into it with our leaders speak. I'm joined by Vikash Kadloya, CEO Embassy REIT, Amit Shetty, Co-Head Commercial Leasing South, Embassy REIT, and Gopalakrishnan Padmanabhan, Managing Director Southeast Asia and Middle East GBCI, to get some of these answers. Let me start with you, Vikash. Commendable work done on all 3 pillars of ESG by Embassy Office Parks REIT. Now, my question is, what are the next 3 to 4 things on your agenda as a CEO to move the company towards that big goal of operational carbon neutrality by 2040?
Yeah, thank you, Manisha. So, as you said, we made a head start to this journey and we recognize a lot more needs to be done, both in terms of efforts and capital investments to meet our 2040 net zero carbon emissions goal. So we're focused on 3 important things. 1, we want to achieve a 75-25 renewable program. Now, what we mean by that is 75% of our park's energy requirements need to be supplied through green sources by FY 2025, just 2 years from today. For this, we are looking to expand both our green energy portfolio, whether it is on-site or off-site, similar to the 100 megawatt solar power plant that we operate today. Two, what we're looking to do is to reduce the energy consumption itself in our properties through smart interventions, whether it is through replacing our existing HVACs, chillers, etc., or through efficient smart technologies. We are targeting to reduce the overall energy footprint in our properties, and we think we can make an impact of around 10% just by doing this. And third, we are focused on reducing our indirect emissions, which technically is referred to as Scope 3 emissions. Simplistically, this would mean both backward and forward integrating our green initiatives and collaborating with both our occupiers on one hand and our suppliers and vendors on the other hand. And given the leverage and the scope of partnerships that we already have, we think this can further amplify our sustainability initiatives.
Let me come to you next, Mr. Gopalakrishnan. Do you believe companies like Embassy Office Parks are in sync with the best in global standards when it comes to their ESG goals?
So let me just answer this question in an elaborate way. So let me first put the context on ESG. ESG, as you're aware, includes a set of factors that measure the non-financial impact of investments and organizations. Today, whether it is the triple bottom line or retaining human capital management or positioning the company for the long-term survival, I think ESG has become the cornerstone for many organization strategies as well. And I think in India, ESG reporting is on the increase, and with SEBI making it compulsory for the top 1,000 listed companies to report their PRSR, I think it's sort of exciting times for the ESG forward. So, having said that, I think green buildings and ESG, are complementary to each other. And while green buildings cover the design, construction, and operations of buildings, cities, and communities, ESG takes care of the governance, management, and the performance of the entire enterprise as well. So the other interesting thing is, as you're aware, ESG assets value will reach close to $50 trillion by 2025. So all that is sort of moving the needle on ESG. Now, coming into India, I think our Honorable Prime Minister's vision of the net zero emission by 2070 has actually meant that, organizations, especially leadership organizations today have four pillars, right? So one is greening, second is decarbonization, third is net zero, and the fourth is ESG as well. So we at US Green Building Council, we have ensured that LEED, which is today the world's largest green rating system covering over 25 billion square feet. So we have actually offered an integrated approach to all these four pillars. So today, many of the organizations which report ESG to frameworks like GRESB or GRI or PCFD, and what we have helped them to do is to create a digital platform on LEED called the ARC, which actually takes live performance of buildings. So higher the scores on ARC and higher the ESG. So from Embassy perspective, I think Embassy has been one of the early adopters of LEED in the country. They have ensured that LEED was done at a design stage, now at the operation stage. So all their assets are linked to our digital platform, and that actually feeds into ESG. And because all their assets are LEED Platinum certified, definitely, their ESG scores should be on par with the global standards as well.
How important do you think regular audits are to ensure that, buildings and office parks deliver on their promise and do justice to that LEED rating?
I think it's a very important question because it's not only about sustainability, it's about the green rating system environment totally. So I think what possibly a decade back, you may have seen green as more of a certification system. You take a certificate, celebrate it, and that's the end of the story, right? So, but I think slowly, two things have evolved. I think one is, the preponderance on data. I think the world is going digital in all respects. So it was important that buildings also report data. And the second is, the often understood statement that what cannot be measured cannot be managed. So what we did at USGBC was to launch a digital platform of LEED called the ARC. So what it does is to take live data from buildings. It could be a live energy score, live water data, waste, carbon footprint, and the human experience scores, and gives back to the organization an integrated singular green score for that building. So companies like Embassy, as I said in the beginning, they were adopted lead at the design stage. So they didn't stop there. So today, all their 77 buildings spanning 30 million square feet are feeding data into this platform. So what it does is a lot of things, right? One is that Embassy as a group can now say, okay, let me understand my portfolio and understand how they are performing within itself. Second is it also gives them the leverage to compare that with the Indian group of assets. There could be other companies having assets similar to Embassy, especially on the real estate side. And they could also benchmark with the international standards as well. The other, I think, benefit is today I talked about human experience. So I think today green buildings are just no longer about energy, water, and waste and carbon footprint. It's about the person inside the building. So since you have live data of the human experience, which translates as health and well-being, it gives the opportunity for Embassy to showcase that data to their staff, to their tenants, and their employees. So green or rating system today has become now all pervasive. It is just not a question of residing only in the boardroom. It is actually involves all the employees. It is about their health and well-being. And so this live data automatically means that it's sort of an audit. In fact, you can say it audits every second or every minute, depending on the way the data is captured. So I think that's one thing which possibly would ensure that the green movement is sustainable. People do believe that, okay, it is just not a design stage. Let me make sure that I'm able to track data at an operation stage. And also it helps groups like Embassy to do incremental changes. Now, let's say I have a data and it scores 80 on the screen as a total. So I can actually put my KPI and say, okay, next year, can I actually move to 82? The next year, 85. So I can have a 5-year plan. And that KPI can then percolate down to all the divisions so that as a team, we help the assets to move up on the green score as well.
Amit, my next question is to you. How willing are your occupiers to pay that extra leasing rentals for, let's say, a gold versus platinum rated office park? I mean, India is a very price conscious market and big companies offshore their services, A, for talent, but also for that immense cost value that they get on leasing grade A office space here.
Absolutely. Firstly, Manisha, thank you for having me on this show. Absolutely. Post the pandemic, the focus has been on employee health, wellness, and sustainable spaces. More and more, what we're seeing with the organization is their selection criteria for buildings is more leaning towards wellness spaces, right? And the organizations are selecting, campus-style developments with a complete ecosystem, which has food courts, open spaces, breakout spaces, gymnasium, retail, etc. Thereby, again, reiterating their inclination towards wellness and healthy building environment.
IT and ITS sector is considered as one of those sectors whose employees go through a lot of stress and a very high attrition rate. Do you believe providing healthy and wellness-oriented workspaces can actually address these issues and help in retention?
Look, as we keep talking to our occupiers day in and day out, we keep hearing them, talents become a big thing for all of them, right? So talent acquisition and retention are two very important aspects for any organization today. And to this effect, they don't mind really spending a couple of bucks here or there or so-called premium to retain this talent. Now, with the very strong leasing momentum across industries, and we've now seen new industries that have come up like healthcare or pharma and retail and renewables, and all these guys are competing for the same talent, and hence we've seen increasingly corporate occupiers willing to spend that extra money on platinum rated office spaces.
Back to you, Vikash. While operational net zero itself is an important goal and vision, the industry now has to move the needle on embodied carbon footprint of a building. Are you thinking at all in that direction? Materials that you're using, construction, steel, cement, how they travel to the site, etc.?
That's a very interesting question, Manisha. As you would recognize, embodied carbon is still a very nascent concept for the Indian real estate sector. Both the understanding as well as availability of certified and eco-labeled construction materials is evolving in India. So what we've done is taken baby steps. One, we have redefined our supply selection criteria. We have incorporated both sustainability and ESG compliance as a key criteria for selection of our vendor partners. And just to give you a sense, this would mean that this covers over 700 of our suppliers and contractors. And in many cases, we are working very closely with them to help them make the transition towards sustainability. A couple of other examples that just come to my mind is we're using locally sourced materials so that we can then reduce the transport-related emissions. Two, we are focusing on maximizing the usage of recycled materials. For example, in Manyata, we've used plastic equivalent to roughly 1 lakh bottles to lay internal roads just this year. And the third example that comes to my mind is that in all our new buildings, rooftop solar is just now a default design. So again, a step towards sustainability. So if I were to just take a step back, and the way I look at ESG, it's a trinity of sorts, right? First, what we are doing. Two, how are we collaborating with our occupiers, the multinational companies? And third is the backward integration with our vendor partners. And we want to work together towards reducing the joint embodied carbon footprint.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for your insights. Well, care for the environment and the community, along with higher standards of ethics and governance, are the only way to build lasting value in any business. Embassy REIT seems to be firmly in the driving seat on its ESG roadmap and destination. Goodbye, and thanks so much for joining us on this special episode on sustainable businesses.